Nice to have you with us.
Today marks the start of Mental Health Awareness Month. The national movement to raise awareness has been observed in May since 1949. More than 1 in every 5 Americans live with a mental illness, and 55% of those people receive no treatment. Here in Tennessee, 1 provider for every 590 people in Knox County. That is according to a 2023 report from the Knox County Health Department. 2 of the biggest barriers to resources include knowledgeable, available services and access to those same services. Doctors say it is critical for people to receive a diagnosis early, and then oftentimes that comes from your primary care physician.
Yes, the relationship that you have with your primary is where you get to talk about those things, but also those screening tools are actually invaluable in triggering us to ask the questions that you might not otherwise think to bring up.
That expert says primary care doctors can help connect you with specialists and coordinate mental health care. We do have a list of resources across East Tennessee. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, you can find them in the As Seen on TV section of WBIR.com.
The Maricopa County officials are incompetent, and it's my belief that the election is rigged and the results should be thrown out.
It sounds like some new numbers are coming in, which has you taking a narrow lead over Katie Hobbs.
Which is why I have always said this is a democracy. Trust the system, trust the voters.
That is Cecily Strong as Arizona Republican gubernatorial candidate Carrie Lake on last night's new episode of Saturday Night Live. Legendary comedian Dave Chappelle hosted the show with musical guest Black Star. Daniel Radcliffe was 11 years old when he answered a call to audition for a movie based on the wildly successful Harry Potter books. By the next year, he was the most famous 12-year-old on Earth. That first movie made $1 billion at the box office, setting off a worldwide craze that led to 7 more films, with Radcliffe starring as Harry. He came out the other side of that 10-year whirlwind intact, and with the professional freedom to take on only the projects that strike him as a good time, like his latest playing Weird Al Yankovic. Daniel and I got together in New York for a Sunday sit-down. On the sidewalks of the West Village, Daniel Radcliffe almost is just another New Yorker.
I love living here, I love my life here, and yeah, people generally speaking don't really care that you're anyone, so that's nice.
But then a reminder.
We are walking into a big crowd now.
That he played one of the most famous and beloved characters in movie history.
You're a wizard, Harry.
The massive success of the Harry Potter films made Radcliffe the face of a decade-long global phenomenon. In the decades since Harry, the 33-year-old has followed a simple rule.
Most of my choices now are mainly informed by, do I think I'll have fun doing this? I love it.
His latest film, Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, certainly qualifies.
What did you think?
How do you describe what this movie is? It's not a biopic, per se.
It is the only thing that master of song parodies, Weird Al, it is the only thing that his movie biopic could be, which is a parody of movie biopics. There are some events that are the kernel of truth at the first third of the film, doing a kind of a slightly plausible, shaped biopic, and then at a certain point we just go into a fully alternate universe through the world of Weird Al. So, for example, Al really did start playing the accordion because he was approached by a door-to-door accordion salesman. He really did record My Bologna in a bathroom originally. But yeah, Madonna and Al obviously get together and have the torrid love affair that everybody knows that they had.
I was wondering if you were going to do a parody of my song, Like a Virgin.
I'm curious, is that song autobiographical?
Is it true that your girlfriend influenced you on this as well? She was a fan of Weird Al and said, you've got to do this?
I was already very keen to do it, but her and her whole family are massive Weird Al fans, and that's sort of how I came to know Weird Al better. Like, I'd known him a bit growing up, but it was through her and her family that I really got into it.
Famous for his lyrical lampooning of everyone from Michael Jackson to Lady Gaga. Yankovic wrote Weird and handpicked the actor who plays him. You don't look much like him, which is true as you sit here now. But when you turn up on screen, you look like Weird Al.
You know, makeup and hair does an amazing job, as does costume. And I did grow my own moustache. If I could give a piece of advice to any young actor, it would be, if you can, grow your own facial hair. Fake facial hair is deeply irritating. So when you can grow your own, do it.
Good tip. Good tip.
There you go. Very applicable to everyone.
Radcliffe grew up in London, the only child of a literary agent and a casting director.
I definitely wanted to be an actor for the first time when I was like 5 or 6.
He booked his first role at 9 years old in the BBC miniseries David Copperfield.
Let's always be friends, Emily.
Harry Potter director Chris Columbus spotted the promising actor there and asked him to audition for the role of a young wizard. Radcliffe got the part and stepped into a universe that would change his life. Expecto Patronum! Did you have any sense at that age of what was happening around you?
I mean, I knew that that was happening, but the difference between sort of understanding the words people say when they say this is a global phenomenon and actually feeling that is huge, particularly as a kid, which I think in a way is great. Like, you wouldn't want a kid to feel the sort of the weight and you know, the sense of expectation of all of that. Also, I think we were actually amazingly sheltered from how the world was receiving the films and how big they were getting by making the films. I've become so much more aware of the Potter fandom and things since finishing the films and sort of the 10 years since than I was when we were actually on it. My mum and dad did an amazing job at, you take so much of your reaction from your parents when you're that age. We were flying into Tokyo when I was, I think, 12 or 13. It was after the second film. Somebody got a message to us saying, like, they have 100 security in arrivals. And we were all like, that's ridiculous, like, what's that for? And then we got there and it was like, oh, this might not be enough. It was one of the craziest, like, crushes I've ever been through. And then we got into the car and my mum and dad were just like in hysterics and were just like laughing at what, like, a crazy, funny, weird thing that had been. And I think had they reacted shocked or startled or freaked out, then I probably would have been as well.
Post-Potter, Radcliffe has had the freedom to play everything from a corpse in Swiss Army Man
And I was cashier as well.
You look mysterious and girls like mysterious.
to God's assistant on the TBS show Miracle Workers.
That's good.
So, I decided to blow up first.
He has performed on stages from the West End to Broadway.
And do you play it nicely?
But Radcliffe is content, knowing to many people, he always will be Harry.
I learned so much from those films. By the time I had finished Potter, I had done more hours on a set than some people will get to do in their lives. And unfortunately, like, some of the results is up there, and it's not all great. I 100% see that. But there's definitely, I watch some now and I go, okay, I can see myself starting to get better.
How do you look at the world now professionally?
I'm really getting to run the gamut of doing different things that I love. I'm just acting on the assumption that at some point this will end and I'll have to take some jobs that I'm not as excited about. I think actually Weird, Swiss Army Man and Miracle Workers all have in common a kind of, they are incredible earnestness and sweetness mixed with just psychotic derangement. And if I can have as much of my career sit in that pocket as possible, I'd be very happy.
It's certainly working for him. Weird, the Al Yankovic Story is streaming now on Roku. Meanwhile, Daniel is in the final weeks of rehearsals for Stephen Sondheim's Merrily We Roll Along, which begins previews on November 21st before opening at New York Theater Workshop on December 12th. Our big thanks to St. Theo's Restaurant in New York for hosting our conversation. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sunday Sit Down podcast to hear the full interview with Daniel Radcliffe. You can find that on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get yours. And next week, a new Sunday Sit Down with Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth, on being one of the Avengers. And the intense new series Limitless, where the actor pushes himself to the brink in extreme real-life conditions. Chris Hemsworth, next week on Sunday Today. Let's turn now and get another quick check of your local Sunday weather.
Hi everyone, if you haven't stepped outside, it is cold and windy here in the Washington area. 46 degrees of temperature, winds from the northwest at 17 miles per hour, and it feels like 39 degrees outside. And the cold air stretches north, south, east, and west, so it doesn't matter where you go today, you will feel like temperatures in the 30s. It will only be in the 40s, and the week coming up, temperatures continue to be in the 40s, 10 degrees below average. Enjoy your Sunday, everyone.
Ahead on Sunday Today, our highs and lows of the week, including the bride who became a viral star when she dusted off her vows at the altar after a long wait for that wedding day. But up next, Harry Smith turns our Sunday spotlight on the hallucinogenic chemical associated with mushrooms, now offering doctors a new tool in the fight against addiction. We're back in just 30 seconds.
Oh, now little spike-headed one.
Uh-oh.
First lesson.
Oh, man.
Lesson number 2. Now we take Butterfinger break. Get a crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery burst in every bite of Butterfinger.
Lesson number 3. Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
I'm the master reptile.